Welcome Mac Performance family. It's weekly live. My name is Melissa MacDonald. I'm a sports chiropractor here in Edina, Minnesota. And tonight we're going to talk about getting into swimming. So let me get the live queued up so I can see who's watching with us. And I will tell you this is a huge passion of mine. When it comes to swimming, I grew up as a swimmer. I don't know how many people knew that. I swam competitively from the wee age of 7 till we moved to Michigan when I was 13 in the great state of Florida. So I grew up, participating in sports in Florida outside of swimming is miserable because there's so much humidity, so much heat. It is so hot. It is so much better to be in the water. So swimming made sense. Now, where it got intense is during the summer, we would do 2-a-days, sometimes 3-a-days when it came to swimming. So swimming in the morning, swimming in the evening, sometimes getting an afternoon swim to be ready for competition. And I fully admit back then that was probably the best shape I have ever been in my life was when I was a competitive swimmer, simply because swimming is so good when it comes to exercise and building endurance, and yet very gentle on majority of your joints. Except for your shoulders, swimming can be a little tough on your shoulders simply from the activity of going overhead and pulling. And tonight, let's go over how you can utilize swimming as a way to exercise. Now, is it as accessible as running? No. It's not, because for running, you slap on a pair of shoes, you go outside, you hit the road. You can at least start that right here, right now. Granted, I don't know if I'd want to go outside right now. Looks like the weather's about to take a nasty turn here in Minnesota. But swimming is definitely something that is more accessible here with all the lakes and ponds and pools. Granted, there is a difference when training, whether you're swimming in a pool or if you're swimming in open water, and that's something we're going to discuss to go over it. So let's dive in. I see we have Amber and Karen and Rachel and Denise. Welcome to the live stream. If y'all have any questions, go ahead and type them down below. I will answer them as we go. And we're going to get into swimming. Why is it awesome? It's great exercise, it's low impact, and it's really something you can do long term. And what I mean by long term is you can start off as a heavy endurance swimmer, very, very body intensive, and then slowly transition to a lower activity level as you age without really affecting any of your joints. There are very few sports where you can go from a high level Olympic athlete all the way into the masters level. One of the first sporting events I worked was senior national games, which is essentially the Olympics for 55 and over, which is a really cool thing. And one of the events was the triathlon. And this is when I realized how out of shape I was, because when the youngest competitor of the triathlon is like 60 and the oldest is 108, and they're running, swimming, biking, and crushing it, and there was no way I could have done what they were doing. That's when I realized I probably need to get back into something a little more active when it comes to endurance and cardiovascular. So once I'm over the craziness of being sick, I'm going to start swimming again. I'm going to ask that you, as Mac Performance family, hold me accountable, make sure I get to that pool. Now, there is something you got to know, which is you got to know how to swim. So if you don't know how to swim for whatever reason, that is totally fine. There are some great adult beginner classes and a lot of local masters teams, and masters sound scary, but really that's just a term for any athlete competing in something over the age of 35. or over the age of 30. So any master swim program can have beginner classes to teach you how to swim beyond just a doggy paddle, actually getting into the strokes such as freestyle, breaststroke, backstroke, and butterfly. Granted, for the most part, you just need to know how to do a basic freestyle, just front crawl type of swim to get through most activities. You don't need to get into the other three unless you're wanting to swim competitively, because then, like, my favorite stroke was the breaststroke. It was by far my best that I was effective at, and my worst was the butterfly. Oh my God, not pretty. I was by no means a Michael Phelps when it came to that stroke. What you need to be prepared: you need a swimsuit, you need goggles, potentially a swim cap if you don't want to get chlorine in your hair or have the chlorine dye your hair green, which is always my problem. Potentially you might want a pull buoy or a kickboard, and then you need a post-swim snack. I know that seems like really silly to put an emphasis on, but if you've never swam with any direction or for exercise, you have no idea how hungry you're about to come out of that pool. Oh my goodness. The snack post-swim, it is what that exercise is all about. So always have a snacky and a water bottle for the side of the pool. Now for the type of suit you want to wear. You want to wear something comfortable, that has reduced drag, and isn't going to slip or spill anywhere out. So racer backs are typically better adapted for female swimmers, and jammer pants are best for male swimmers simply because they don't have all the loose fabric. I know with a lot of the more cute and stylish bathing suits, I have a lot of issues with things not staying in the place that I need them to stay. But when I'm in a racerback Speedo, everything is kind of locked and loaded and ready for the swimming at that day. Since I was a swimmer, I have a tendency to do flip turns and dives, and those definitely put some tension on the suit. So I definitely want everything kind of slimmed and locked, and that nothing's going to have any spillage issues here. Picking a goggle. Now, when I swam, I used the same goggles in competition as practice. They were competition goggles. They were not comfortable per se, but they fit snugly around my eyes. They didn't fog up, and they didn't leak. And when you don't have good fitting goggles, they leak and they're miserable. Now, this is probably the area that you need to invest the most, is making sure your goggles are the correct fit. When I swim, I typically wear contacts, so it's extra important for me to have my goggles fit perfectly to protect my contacts and protect my eyes. Really, it's all about having visibility. When you're lane swimming, you want to make sure you're staying in a straight line, so you want to have your eyes open the entire time. This way you can have multiple people in a lane and you're each swimming on your side of the lane so you can go back and forth. It's a really great way to kind of keep things in line. So you'll want to probably go with at least a practice model goggle versus like a recreational goggle. Recreational are the cheaper goggles you can get, but they're great for playing in a pool or lake. They are not great for lap swimming. They don't last as long. Next, consider a swim cap. Now, growing up, I used to wear the loose-fitting Lycra spandex caps just because getting a latex cap over my hair, I usually had to wear 3 or 4 swim caps to hold everything in place on race day. I'm hoping now that I have shorter hair and frankly, I'm missing half my hair on my right side. This will allow me to go back to a more traditional latex cap to protect my hair from the chlorine. This is one of the reasons why I stopped, and I know this is a really sad girly reason. I didn't like how the chlorine dried out my hair and made me into a fuzzy curl ball. So I'm going to go back to wearing a swim cap, that way protecting my hair. Next, know the rules of the pool. It is always important when you decide where you're going to swim to look up and see if there's a set schedule for maybe pool aerobics or if they have kiddo swim classes. That way you're not showing up and the lanes are taken. Most pools have a designated lanes no matter what, so that you're able to swim laps at all times. I'm excited about the fact that there is a pool at my school that I can swim at once everything's kind of open back up again. I know right now a lot of the pools aren't open due to the pandemic going on, so you'll want to again check schedules. I see we have a question: for any reason to wear caps for lake swimming? Yes, there are parasites within the lake that can get caught in your hair and cause you to have a very itchy scalp, especially if you can't immediately go wash and shower and shampoo your hair. Also, wearing a cap cuts drag and makes things a little easier. I definitely know a difference when my hair's wet versus in a cap when it comes to how much drag there is and how much kind of whiplash goes into my neck. But really, in a lake or freshwater situation, it's personal choice whether you wear a cap or not. Hope that answers that question. Now, once you have figured out where you're swimming, you have to consider open versus pools. Open water versus pools because one, there's no walls in a lake. And I know that's something that sounds kind of silly to say it, but if you're used to swimming in a pool and going wall to wall or getting fatigued mid swim and stopping and standing, that might not be something you can do if you're swimming in a lake. Plus the temperature. Average lake temps on a good day in the shallows in Minnesota is going to be 64 degrees. In August. Right now in June, they're probably sitting closer to 40. And in your pools, you're going to get that typical more 82 degrees Fahrenheit, which really can be quite warm and almost uncomfortable swimming. So you kind of have to find that middle zone of where you're going to be swimming. Also, you're dealing with air temperatures. At any time, gusts can come across the lake and blow water into your face or change the turbulence of the water, making it a much more difficult swim. And there's a mental challenge when you can't see the bottom of where you're swimming if you get into the deeper water. I know, at least for my husband, he has a definite fear of deep water where you can't see the bottom of the lake. He does not like it. He does not appreciate it, versus that doesn't bother me as much. I mean, I grew up in Florida. We used to dive off the back of my uncle's boat. So we used to do some more risky things, I guess. And then the other thing is training. What's nice about a lake is you can set a distance and just swim that distance and then you're done. Versus in a pool, you're going to be doing laps back and forth. That also benefits your pacing and tempo. When you're not having to stop and turn and push off, you're going to get a better pace and stroke tempo to your swim, but you're not going to have those breaks of turning and gliding. So, depending upon what your ultimate goal, if you're just swimming for exercise, you don't have to take this into consideration. Pick whichever one you want and go do it. But if you're training for a triathlon in a pool that's going to be swam in a lake or an ocean, when you get into that lake or ocean, it's definitely going to feel different. And you're going to need to train longer at longer distances in the pool to be physically ready to swim in the lake or ocean. Just forewarning you. Next, creating and structuring your workout. Basics. You want to warm up. Take 10 minutes, get in the pool, and just swim about 400 meters, which will take about maybe 10 minutes. Now, this is really about getting your body used to being back in the water, getting your shoulders loosened up, getting kind of just adjusted, your hips stretched out. Then you'll want to maybe do some presets or skills training. This could be working on upper body. This could be working on lower body. This could be working on a skill if you're trying to develop maybe a butterfly, or maybe you're trying to develop your flip turn. Then you want to do the main set of endurance work and then a cool down. Now, I have in here a basic workout. This is a fairly easy, granted there's a lot of jargon within this realm. So 400 meters is going to be your warm up. It just says 400 warm up. I know it's meters because the pools are all measured in meters. So let's break down each individual set. So your first is a 400 meter warm up. Most pools are 25 meters to 50 meters. I'm going to say most pools you're going to have access to are probably going to be 25 meters. So you're going to be doing 16 laps. So back, up and down 8 times, or up 1, down 2, up 3, 16 laps to reach your 400 meter mark. Sounds like a lot, but once you're in the water, it kind of settles out. The next thing that was on there was 350 meters, 50 free, 50 non-free, 50 free. And this is simply just to break up the workout with some different strokes. So you have a 50 meter freestyle, so 2 laps, a freestyle, then a non-freestyle. That could be a backstroke, a breaststroke, a butterfly, and then back to a 50 meter free. Then the next set of workouts were pools. Nope, so just a regular 3x50 swim descending. Descending means each length or each interval should take less time to do. So you're trying to go faster and faster. This is to help build endurance. Again, this is a workout to kind of start really building up some cardiovascular strength. Then you have a little cool down, and then you go into some arm work using a pull buoy. That's a picture of a pull buoy. It simply sits between your legs, helps them float so you can just pull with your arms. And then the next is just doing 50 kicks using either a kickboard or just holding your arms overhead and kicking. So that's kind of how you break down a swim exercise. Now, I didn't make that exercise. I fully admit to having gone onto a website and found a simple swimming exercise so that I could give an example of one. It's been a long time since I've been in a pool creating a exercise. And really, when I was growing up, I never thought about what we were doing. I just did it because my coach provided it. Now, there are masters swim clubs throughout the Twin Cities that are not currently practicing because of the pandemic, but will be starting up probably mid-June, early July. So it is definitely something I'm going to look more into, just because with doing the research for this and talking about swimming, I kind of have the swimming bug. I want to get back in the pool. I want to get back into doing what's really fun. I will say one drawback is you can end up with massive shoulders. If you've ever seen the Olympic swimmers, you know what I'm talking about. You get like this look. I kind of still have. I used to have really bulky shoulders when I was a competitive swimmer in middle school. But I could out bench press the boys, and that was always fun. Are there any other questions for anyone who's here concerning swimming, how to get into it, how to be more active? This is part 3 of our summer series. Next week, we're going to talk about golf, just to break up the cardiovascular work. And our final part of the series will be on cycling or biking. So We've covered how to stay safe in the heat, how to start running. Now we've talked about swimming. We still have golf, getting back into it without causing any back pain or elbow or knee pain. And our last topic will be cycling. If there is a topic we have not covered that you think we should, go ahead and add it to the comments section. And if you have any questions, please, please, please feel free to add that into the bottom there. Otherwise, I am going to let you go for the evening since I think the sky's about to open up and I'm not sure how long our power is going to stay on. And if you're in Minnesota in the Twin Cities, please, please stay safe. I know our area has some special weather statements for severe thunderstorms and some flood warnings going on. If you're in another area of the state, make sure you're checking to be avoiding any tornado warnings or sirens. I do not want anyone getting hurt, although I do love thunderstorms. So have a good night, everyone. I will see you next week, Tuesday at 6:30, to talk about how to get back into golf with no pain, no dysfunction, especially now that courses are open and it is something you can do for fun. Have a good night. To keep up to date with future content, please click subscribe. Additional information is found in the description of this video.
All information, content, and material of this video is for information purposes only and are not intended to serve as a substitute for the consultation, diagnosis, and/or medical treatment of a qualified physician or healthcare provider.